Hey everybody, how's it going? This is just going to be a kind of quick, maybe not too long of a stream, but I just wanted to try something else. I want to try streaming a little bit more maybe. And I figured this was a good time to do an additional stream beyond our weekly Wednesday night one. I don't know how many people are going to show up because it's kind of impromptu, but I do want to talk a bit about how Joe Biden's stimulus package is being rolled out, what's not awful in it, what's not great, what's good, and also some of the early controversies already developing. Great to see some people here. Samantha Sider is here. John's here. Great to see you guys so much. But basically, if you watched it live, if you watched Biden's stimulus address live, I would have brought it to you, but baby's bedtime takes priority, so it's the life of being a family man. But the reality is, Biden didn't really sound any different than he did during the election, right? Which wasn't a guarantee, because you might think that Joe Biden was going to really push for a more right-wing rhetoric after he became president. Barack Obama started that almost immediately. Biden at least seems to be waiting a little bit. And I think that's kind of interesting, because we have to be clear that Biden could very well say, look, we don't have a lot of votes in the Senate. We don't have a lot of votes in the House. We don't have these things. And so therefore, we don't have the ability to get a lot done. And so I have to drop my vision. Right? And he maybe he would get away with saying that. But here you do see him sticking to his key proposals. Right? Right? Like, we do see him sticking to many of his key proposals, which is good. Which is good to see. A few things to note. Here's the general gist of the package. And this is as per Sahil Kapoor at the NBC News. Let me drop the link in the description. He is saying, like, the basic package sticks largely to what Biden wanted to offer originally, right? Biden originally wanted to offer, something of a center-right, frankly, in global terms, stimulus package. And this largely sticks to it. He's got his vaccination program. He has the stimulus to $2,000. And we're going to talk about that, because that's the big sticking point right now for a lot of people. A lot of people right now are not necessarily happy with that particular element, right? That element right there is making a lot of people anxious and in some cases angry. And so we'll talk a bit about that. But specifically, if you look here, you got $400 a week UI. It's not as good as the $600 from before. I think that's unfortunate. I think, frankly, he could have gone for the full $600, but it's better than the $300 that people were getting most recently when they were getting the federal unemployment top-up. There's a bonus there for renters, SNAP increases, ETIC boost. So those things are aimed often at low to middle income people, which is good to see. Like, that's some aid that's maybe targeted towards people that are not necessarily quote unquote middle class, but in many ways, because they're not necessarily quote unquote middle class, need the most help, right? And so that's great news. Another factor here, lots of people still streaming in. Thanks to everybody coming by. I know this is impromptu, so don't worry about coming in and maybe being a few minutes behind. I haven't covered too much yet. Money for childcare, money for public transit, money for small businesses, funding COBRA through September, which is crucial given so many people lost their work. Although, of course, there should be Medicare for all. He wants to boost the ACA subsidy, the CARE Act subsidy, which is good. And I think crucially, he has not backed off his $15 minimum wage promise. That is important, because that is something that, if he gets it done, will mean a lot to a lot of people. Right? It'll be a big deal if he gets $2,000 done. It will be. If he gets the $15 minimum wage done. My mom says I'm keen, says, does he tell us how I'm going to afford my third yacht? To my knowledge, my mom says I'm keen. There is no yacht-based stimulus sub-program, to my knowledge. Now, I know that the boaters were very much pro-Trump, so maybe if Trump won, there would have been a yacht stimulus plan. Unfortunately, I don't think it made the cut. Yeah. Right? So the one encouraging thing you can say is this is not a naked reversal of what he ran on. Because the real fear I had from Biden, if I'm being honest, guys, isn't just that he would run a bad program. My real fear in some ways was that he was going to run on a neoliberal program and then be even worse by a big margin. And so far, at least, that's not necessarily evident. And so that's good to see. The thing I was looking most at was the $15 minimum wage. To me, that's the litmus test. That's absolutely the litmus test right now. The $15 minimum wage. Right? Well, Canadian person, I don't know if we have it out yet. That's a good question. How will he get to 15? Will he get to 15 gradually? I'm not sure. It seems to be indicating that he wants to get to 15 fairly quickly. And so I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be immediate to 15, but it might also be, 15 over the next couple years. I'm not sure. But in any case, we have to be real. I'm not telling people to settle. But if you guys get a $15 minimum wage, that'll be better than most Canadians. Often Americans look to Canada with envy. So you guys got healthcare. Your president isn't a monster. Your schools aren't dangerous like our schools are. We want to be Canadian, or we want Canada to be like the US. But only one Canadian province right now has 15, and as soon as second will. And those both came under the most left-wing party, the NDP. Most Canadian provinces have minimum wages between $11 and $14 right now. But the Canadian dollar does not buy as much as the American dollar. Our dollar is worth less. So in essence, if you guys get a $15 minimum wage, it will be higher than the Canadian minimum wage everywhere. The American minimum wage will be objectively better than the Canadian minimum wage. Right? Canada can't have a federal minimum wage in the same way the US can. You can have a federal minimum wage, but it only applies to workers under federal jurisdiction, aka federal government workers and certain industries like banking, telecommunications, railways, etc. And so, yeah, if he gets the $15 minimum wage done, right? If he gets it done, and even if he gets it done by in a couple years, your minimum wage will be better than Canada's. And I'm not telling you to settle, but I am giving you perspective that it's one of those rare instances where the United States will be more economically progressive than Canada. 100%, except for a couple provinces. Right? And so that's a big deal. If Biden keeps that promise, and now maybe the consequence of the close result is he can get votes to bump it to 15, but it takes more time. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, look, Marlon, I'm not disagreeing. I'd easily take a couple bucks an hour less in income to have guaranteed social services that protect you from hundreds of thousands of dollars of unpaid debt. 100%. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just giving you perspective here. That would be good. That would be good. But okay. So this is what Samantha Sider noted in her super chat. And Samantha, thank you for the support. I very much appreciate it. What she's noting here, and she's correct in noting, is that there's a real complication right now about what this means. About what this means for the stimulus package, right? Right now, it's not necessarily clear if it's going to mean $1,400 or $2,000. Biden says it's going to mean $2,000 total, right? What it should be, though, if I'm being honest, it should be more than that. So, Biden said $2,000 checks. That's what Ossoff and Warnock said. And so I think it's not unreasonable to assume that maybe it would have been good to see the $2,000 checks, in addition to any checks people got prior. But I also understand from a technical perspective the reason why it might only be, $2,000 total. And the reason I would say that would be, like, when the first package was passed back in December, it included the $600 checks, which was totally inadequate. And then around Christmas time, as we remember, Trump said he wanted 2,000, and then Pelosi and Schumer and everybody, they jumped on that, and then they proposed an amendment. The amendment easily passed the House. 44 Republicans voted for it. And then it went to the Senate, and the Senate wouldn't vote on it. And then so the result was that it died on the Senate floor. In essence, then, like, there really is an argument that could be made that the goal of that package was to take the $600 checks, cancel them, and add in a $2,000 check. So hypothetically, you could argue that if Bernie's amendment was successful, if Bernie's filibuster worked and they got the checks done around New Year's, then that would have led to the 600 being converted into 2,000. That's what I think it was about. Right? But, of course, the issue is whether we're talking about 2,000 or 600 or 2,400, it's not enough. And so I think it's perfectly reasonable to say that maybe this isn't a shattered promise, like a lot of, like some people are saying, but it certainly is inadequate, and they should do better to actually get something into the hands of people that need it. Right? And I think that's something that's not being talked enough about right now. And so AOC notes this. AOC notes this here. Let me bring this up. This is AOC noted this on Twitter. Jeff Stein from Washington Post, who is likely the most authoritative source right now in the media on covering stimulus, right? The most authoritative source on covering the stimulus is got a quote from AOC. And he says here, Representative Ocasio-Cortez says Dems should pass $2,000 on top of the $600 from December rather than add $1,400 to get $600 to $2,000. So you can see the argument is either we have an additional $2,000 check to get to $2,000 to keep that promise, and the $600 is in addition, or we promised $2,000, so we're going to add the 14 to the 6 to get to 2, right? And so AOC says 2,000 means 2,000. 2,000 does not mean 1,400. So AOC is coming out very clearly saying, look, we said $2,000 checks. We said $2,000 checks, and we meant $2,000 checks. I don't think that's unreasonable. I don't think that's unreasonable at all. Not at all. Yamalix Velez if I didn't say that right, I apologize deeply. But thank you so much for the super chat, and you say thank you for all the good content daily. Well, that's what I try to do. I do the best I can bringing daily content, and I really appreciate the support and the kind words. Thank you so much. So that's what AOC is saying. And of course, you still have Ro Khanna, who is arguing that, like, look, this is not enough in any case. We need the full $2,000 a month. We need to start giving people monthly $2,000 checks. And Ro Khanna is 100% right. But, like, you know, it's good to see some push. But I think one person, I think a lot of us really care about when it comes to his opinion is Bernie Sanders, the incoming chairman, Senate Budget Committee. Now, I'm not going to play this song again tonight. I played it last night. I'm not playing it tonight. But the reality is, Bernie Sanders has, if Sylvia, if I meant to say, it's not unreasonable. It's not unreasonable. That's what I meant to say, Sylvia. Yeah. Basically, Bernie Sanders seems to be at least okay with this. And that's important to a lot of people. Because I trust Bernie, and a lot of people trust Bernie. Now, Bernie's not perfect. Bernie can be wrong. But Bernie put out this statement, and I sent you the link in the description. I'm going to read it out here. It says here, from his official Senate letterhead, Sanders, Biden's COVID rescue plan, a quote-unquote very strong first installment. Senator Bernie Sanders issued the following statement regarding President-elect Biden's plan to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic and economic crisis. It says here, President-elect Biden has put forth a very strong first installment of an emergency relief plan that will begin to provide desperately needed assistance to tens of millions of working families facing economic hardship during the pandemic. The president-elect's COVID relief plan includes many initiatives that the American people want and need, including increasing the $600 direct payments to $2,000 and raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. As the incoming chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, I look forward to working with the president-elect and my colleagues in Congress to provide bold emergency relief to the American people as soon as possible. So from Bernie's reading here, and I don't know if Bernie is going to people, I can't dance without the actual song, so we're probably gonna have to leave it for now, guys. But but basically, like, what we're seeing is very clearly in from my perspective, Bernie seems okay with it. Bernie seems okay with it. And so it's showing me that at the very least he was probably consulted a little bit. Bernie seems fine with the $2,000 total, right? So Bernie was able to say, look, we're going to take the 14, we're going to take the 6 we already sent out, we're going to add the 14, it'll be 2. AOC doesn't agree, Bernie does. It's interesting. A lot of the narratives I've heard from some people on the YouTube quote-unquote left in recent days and weeks is that AOC is a dirty, rotten sellout. And she's not fit to carry the standard for Bernie Sanders. And that she and the squad are just a fraud squad. And they're not going to call out Biden. They're not going to call out Pelosi. They're not going to do any of that. And here we have an instance where Biden comes out with a stimulus package. And frankly, it's not a terrible one. And Bernie's okay with it. But AOC and Ro Khanna and others are being more critical of the package than Bernie is even. And I'm not sure if Tlaib has spoken. Let me just look this up. Rashida Tlaib, what has she said? Rashida Tlaib has not tweeted about this, I don't believe. See, Ilhan Omar. Not everyone's going to tweet about this tonight necessarily. Ilhan Omar hasn't either. Let me see. Cory Bush. What did Cory Bush say? No, not Cory Bush. So not everyone's commented yet, but I'm trying to see what some of the progressives have been saying. for the most part, people haven't commented yet. But, Ro Khanna has, AOC has. And I think that's showing a pretty encouraging sign. As Samantha Sider says, 243 people watching, but only 65 likes. So click that like button, guys. It helps to bring more people to the stream. We'll probably go, I don't know, maybe like not a crazy long time tonight. I'm not exactly sure. We're not going to do a traditional full stream. We might, as I plan these out more, I'll have more things planned to talk about. But I just wanted to kind of do a quick live stream on this. But yeah, in general, clicking the like button and those things really helps to drive people to the stream and those sorts of things. I'm curious though, because I'd love to hear what people are saying about this. What does this mean to you? Like, what does this stimulus package mean to you, if anything? Like, is it going to help you? Like, how much is it going to mean? Because I'm curious about, how much will the minimum wage increase help? How much will this $2,000 checks help? For some people, maybe it's, if you're a middle class person, maybe you don't feel it as much. For some people, it helps, but it's not enough to fundamentally fix the issues they need. I'm really curious. I mean, people are like, remember, we're hearing the Democrats equal lie. I mean, look, yeah, of course the Democratic Party lies, 100%. 100% they lie. But the point in a lot of ways is less that, oh, they're lying or what have you. This is a moment where if they were going to make a sharp break from their plan, they likely would have. Biden's already won the election, right? The traditional tactic would be, run on something, win, and then say, oh, upon further study, we realize we can't do that. Now, maybe Biden's just waiting to do that, but he hasn't done it yet. People saying we aren't getting the $2,000 checks. I mean, it depends, right? Like, Biden seems pretty clear that he wants to do the $1,400 checks, equaling $2,000 when you do the first checks. But the fact of the matter is, stimulus checks are coming, at least according to this. And I don't think that's going to be, downvoted by Republicans. People are saying, I wish somebody would tell me who this Biden guy is. He's the incoming president. He's been pretty quiet, but it's easy to be quiet when Trump is getting all of the attention. Well, Jake's asking if you're going to get the 1,400 and when. Well, I mean, what's going to happen with this is Biden is laying out his priority. This is Biden saying, I'm president in a week. This is my COVID relief package. I want to pass this through the House and through the Senate. Some of these things, maybe he's like, I can do them through executive order or something. But for the most part, he's like, I want to get these things through the House and Senate. And so that's what he's trying to do. Now, will he, won't he? I'm not sure. The point is, however, it's something that gives an opportunity to let people know what his plan is. Now, if you're going to get the $1,400 checks, likely what will happen is this package will go to the Congress. It'll pass the House because the House is Democratic, and it'll likely have a good chance in the Senate, I think, because I think that the checks and a lot of the things in here are too popular. So I don't know exactly when you're going to get 1,400, but I'm guessing that Biden is going to send this to Congress pretty quickly. So I don't know. It might be a few more weeks after he becomes president. We'll have to see. It'll also depend on how much the Republicans want to fight it, right? The Republicans might want to take something out of the bill to try to hold the checks hostage, for example. People already want to impeach Biden. Like, we talked about that as a joke. Guys, like, look, Biden's not getting impeached right now. There's no way it's happening. Like, I know last night we talked a bit about how Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of the new Republican congresswomen, says she wants to impeach Biden. She feels that he deserves to be impeached already. But I don't see it happening, frankly. It's too early right now, and there's no impeachable offense yet. Look, it took almost Trump's entire term, like 3 years basically, for Trump to get impeached. Right? Like it took a long time for him to get impeached. And it'll take a long time for Biden to get impeached if he deserves to be impeached. Right? Simple as that. Simple as that. You know? And as I noted last night, if there was any president that should have been impeached on day one, it was Donald Trump. Like, look, politically, it was never going to happen. Of course, it wasn't going to happen. Jason, thanks so much for the support for the little black cat. I very much appreciate it, as always. Thank you. The reality is, though, like, if you look at Trump, he was the guy that was using his office to enrich himself. He was using his office to enrich himself and his family and his friends and his other business associates and all these sorts of things. He didn't put his holdings into a blind trust. And Trump has very significant holdings. So he didn't sever himself from his businesses, which he was supposed to do as president. Presidents are supposed to put their holdings in blind trusts so that somebody competent and responsible can manage their finances so they're protected, but so that they have no idea how their finances are being run. And the argument is they do that so that the president, even if subconsciously, doesn't pass policies or not pass policies with a view to their specific wealth. So, for instance, I own a lot of car stocks. If I own a lot of stocks in American car companies and I give subsidies to American car companies, you might suggest that I'm doing it because that'll make those companies more successful, raise the stock price, and I will benefit personally as an investor. Like, the reality is that Trump, when he didn't separate himself from his account, when he didn't do that, he set himself up for a scenario where he put himself in a conflict of interest. And the emoluments clause is something Trump violated. Like, the emoluments clause is in the Constitution. It prohibits the federal government from granting titles or nobility, it says here, it prohibits the federal government from granting titles of nobility and restricts members of the federal government from receiving gifts, emoluments, offices, or titles from foreign states and monarchs. It also gives other things. It also designed to shield foreign office holders or federal office holders against of the United States against so-called quote-unquote corrupted foreign influences. And so a lot of people suggested that on the day of Trump's inauguration, he was already violating the emoluments clause. And so Zafir Teachout, who's a left-wing politician, and she's a scholar of law, she said in the notes here that the extensive business and real estate dealings of Donald Trump, especially with respect to government agencies in other country, may fall within the clause's scopes. Now, that's not immediately agreed upon, but some people have basically said that the way Donald Trump used his business to enrich himself, right? Oh, the Surfs are here. Lance from the Surfs is here, everybody. Say hi. Go check them out, the Surfs Times. That's their daily, that's their clip channel. They have the Surfs proper, but the Surfs Times is their clip channel, which is basically the highlights from their Twitch stream. And so go check that out as well. But make sure to check them out. But no, basically, in a lot of ways, like, Trump could have been impeached on day one. You could have made the argument that, like, he was making deals in foreign countries for them to use his hotels. And he was making deals to build Trump properties and run Trump properties in other countries under the guise of presidential and diplomatic politics. Like, from my perspective, that seems like it might be impeachable. So, look, if you want to get rid of Biden, look, if there's a reason to impeach him and you got the votes to impeach him, right? I don't know. I mean, I think I think Biden's only going to be president for 4 years. I don't think he's running in 2024, personally. Nicholas is saying, could Trump be barred from public office according to the 14th Amendment, Section 3? I probably. Yeah, I mean, so the way it generally goes with impeachment is you get impeached in the House, right? You get impeached in the House, and that requires just a simple majority of the House to vote to impeach, and they did twice. Trump is the only president in American history to be impeached twice. And then what happens is, after that impeachment, it goes to the Senate, and the Senate, for lack of a better term, has to confirm the impeachment. Like, they have to go through and say, okay, you have given us this impeachment. We've decided that the impeachment is fair, and we have voted to confirm it and therefore remove them from office. That means that if you get 2/3 of the Senate to vote for impeachment, the president will be removed. In addition, however, they can add additional penalties, such as barring people from running again for federal office. And I believe that only requires a simple majority. So if you add additional penalties, it does not necessarily require unanimity. So it's possible. And I would say it would likely be likely because for a few reasons. One, Trump's crime was especially egregious. And then also you have to think that he is already out of office. So it might feel, and you could say this is fair or not to Trump, that because he's likely going to get, if he does get removed, like if the Senate confirms his impeachment, he will have already been out of office and so therefore can't actually be punished. And so they might therefore make the argument that the way to actually punish him is to remove him. And my inkling is that if it requires only a simple majority, all the Democrats are going to vote to add the additional penalty, and likely one or two Republicans, and that seals his fate, right? I don't see a scenario where there's enough votes to remove him, and then there's not enough votes by a simple majority to bar him from running. But again, they can only bar him from federal office. Because much like pardons, the president can only pardon federal crimes. He cannot pardon state crimes. That has to go to the relevant governor. So Trump could hypothetically still run to be governor of a certain state, or run for a state house, or run for a city council, or what have you, but he could not run for any federal office again if he's punished there. My inkling is they're still going to fall a few votes short in the Senate. That's my feeling. I don't know if there's going to be enough. I think you need basically 17 Republicans. Out of the 50, you're going to need 17. I don't know if there's going to be enough. Well, and see, Tyler's saying it's unconstitutional to impeach him out of office. That's a debate people are going to have. Maybe it is. That's Tom Cotton's argument. I'm not sure, though. I'm not sure if it is. That's a real debate. I think that they might well try, and maybe that'll go to the Supreme Court. Maybe people will go to the Supreme Court and say, look, our reading of the Constitution is impeachment is only to remove people currently in office, so you can't impeach somebody out of office. So regardless of what you think, the impeachment is null and void. Maybe that'll be the case. But you can only declare something constitutional or unconstitutional after you try it. Shogun Harlem says, Christo, you're such a soy boy. Thank you. Thank you. Clyburn said today they don't have 17 Republicans. Well, they don't have 17 Republicans now. We'll have to see. I think you're right, though, Samantha. Like, things can change rather quickly, but you're right. I don't think you're going to get to 17. I think you'll get 7 or 8, but I don't think you'll get 17. And see, then Safik says here, it's not unconstitutional because it started during his presidency. You can see how these debates are already happening. Look, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to weigh in 100% on one side of that. I don't know. My inkling is that maybe that'll go to the Supreme Court. Like, they'll challenge it based on the timing. But I think it's fair to say that maybe there is a distinction between impeaching somebody and they've been out of office for 5 years and impeaching somebody based on what they did in the final 2 weeks of their term, and then getting the actual impeachment under the wire. So it's about what he did during his term. They impeached him during his term, and the trial might take place beyond his term. But I could see it reasonably being seen as constitutional, I think. And so there's a real debate right now, too. A lot of people are saying that the way that Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff ran their campaign is that they really got to go with the full $2,000 checks. They really got to go with the full $2,000. Raphael Warnock tweeted on New Year's Day. He said, Kelly Loeffler isn't in D.C. fighting for a $2,000 relief check. She's on the campaign trail trying desperately to save her job. She's fighting for herself. I'll fight for you. And then he literally has a picture saying, want a $2,000 check, vote Warnock. And there's a little photo of a check with the literal $2,000 on it. So I do think that regardless of the technical argument some people are going to make, which is that, technically it's fine because, Biden promised 2,000 total and people are going to get 2,000 total, so it's okay. I mean, I don't know if that's going to fly. Guys. So, I think people might be mad about this. So I do hope that people are able to put pressure and get a confirmation that, they need to offer the full total $2,000, because otherwise people are going to be pretty disappointed. And I would not blame them, obviously. I mean, look, yeah, Biden can be replaced by the 25th Amendment. Any president can. Any president can. Right? It exists there, but it's never been used, really. Trump is probably the closest they've ever been. I've also heard rumors that it was pretty close in the final days of Ronald Reagan, because he was suffering from a severe cognitive decline, and some people were worried about his ability to do the job. But the 25th has never seriously been used. But yes, hypothetically, if Biden's cabinet doesn't feel he can do the job anymore, and half of that cabinet and Kamala Harris can do it, then yeah, they can force him out. James is asking if I'm buff and I've been working out. No, just the opposite. I have just been packing on the pounds without working out. So if anything, I'm just getting slowly chubbier week to week. But I'm glad to see that maybe it's It's falling on my body in a nice proportional way, I suppose. I mean, look, I'm of the mind, like, and I've noted this before, that I don't think Biden or Trump really have the full mental wherewithal for the jobs that they were vying for. But I don't see Biden being 25th anytime soon, frankly. I just don't see it happening. Whether you think it should or it shouldn't, we can have that talk, but I don't see it happening. Yeah. I mean, again, it, an impeachment, or the 25th Amendment is very unlikely. Again, in American history, lots of people have been impeached. Like beyond the president, other officials have been impeached. But Trump's been impeached twice. Bill Clinton was impeached. Richard Nixon was about to be impeached, and I believe Andrew Johnson was impeached. So like 4 or 5 presidents have been like impeached or almost impeached, but there's never been a impeachment of there's never been an impeachment of, or a 25th Amendment usage against a president. So it's unlikely to happen. It's unlikely to happen. So I'm probably going to call this. I just wanted to do a quick stream, just focused on talking about this. I think a lot of these things are still going to happen over the next coming days and weeks. Right now, you already have Cori Bush coming out and saying that $1,400 does not equal $2,000. Let me see if I can pull up her tweet there for folks. I think that it's definitely something to look at, but right now, this package is a good start in some ways. The package is a good start in some ways. Bernie seems pretty optimistic about it, but I definitely think that something needs to be done to get that to 2,000 total, that check, because some people I think are going to feel misled, and it's going to lead to a lot of ill will. I really do. Now, before I go, I want to say a few things. For those new to the channel, please click the subscribe button. If you do, you're going to get political analysis on a daily basis. I usually stream 1 day a week. I might try to stream more. We're going to see how that works, how that happens. But, I stream at least every Wednesday night from about 8 to 10:30. If you want to support the channel, you can also do so by becoming a patron, by becoming a member here on YouTube. You can make one-time donations on PayPal. And in addition, if you want to follow the channel in between streams and in between videos, I have a Discord, and I am going to drop the link into the Discord, into the chat. People are welcome there, and they can hang out there, and we can talk about these things amongst ourselves after the stream. So this was just a quick little thing. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll be in touch soon with more videos and more streams. Have a good night. Thanks so much.